Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. I'm Kirsty, also known as Horrorfanatic, and today I'm here with my lovely friend, Josh. Introduce yourself, my darling.
Howdy everyone, my name is Joshua D. Robinson, hope everyone's well. My YouTube alias is RedRobin1996, so feel free to jump over there when you're ready. And yeah, I'm here today with the lovely Kirsty Bravard, also known as Horrorfanatic90 on TikTok. And yeah, again, we're going to be going into a lovely little, we're going to start like a nice little series up of just natter more than anything. We natter about horror films pretty much all the time at the minute. And yeah, we're going to be jumping into Wes Craven's 1984 A Nightmare on Elm Street. You'll know what the hell we're talking about as soon as we say the title of the name straight away.
So guys, welcome to Horrorfanatic's Nightmarish Matter! So then guys, we are going to be delving in today and overviewing one of Wes Craven's 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So we are going to be covering, reviewing, and just all general natter about our takes on the film. So, Here are some clips just to set the tone for what we are going to be covering today.
I dream last night myself.
I had a heart-on this morning when I woke up, Tina. Had your name written all over it.
There's 4 letters in my name, Rod. How could there be room on your joint for 4 letters?
As stars with trains of fire and dews of upon his influence and affluence and empire stands.
Nancy. Tina? Please, God.
This is God.
So then guys, let's just get into it and let's get this nightmarish nattering. So go on then, Josh, my lovely.
Yeah, so we've actually decided to get a couple of questions together for the actual for this particular video, and with the particular film as well. And granted, we have watched Nightmare on Elm Street previously to get a bit of an idea of what we're actually going into, the main storyline, the themes of it, and things like that. So we're not necessarily going to be showing the full movie in this video, or if ever at all. But honestly, guys, do feel free to watch it. It's definitely worth a watch, especially for it being 1984.
Absolutely.
It still stands, in my opinion, it still stands the test of time 40 years later.
Oh,
It makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
And one of the first questions that we actually have on here is, do you agree with the following statement? A Nightmare on Elm Street remake is the only remotely scary film in the whole franchise. If so, or if not, explain your reasoning. Now, because a lot of people, personally, I think because a lot of people that are jumping into this video probably thinking, well, this is a bit of a fucking diversion. We're going from a 1984 to the remake of whatever fucking year that bullshit came out. If we're going to go down I think this goes down the whole thing of what's the difference between old horrors and newer horrors.
New horrors, yeah.
And I think we could sit here and talk all day about the differences, especially when it comes to like if we were to just look at Friday, not just Nightmare on Elm Street. You can look at Friday 13th.
Yeah.
As a broad example. What else is there from that time period?
Halloween.
Yeah, fantastic example. Absolutely fantastic example.
Halloween. Yeah.
Just normal, standard slasher flicks as we know them today. But
late 70s, early 80s kind of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like very like slasher flicks in the general sense of the word. Like out there sort of storylines, really out there kills. Like in terms of death counts and kill counts and things like that, there's just really out there kills and deaths. The script play is beyond a joke. Like it's so chuffy and camp, it's unbelievable. There's not an ounce of believability in every single word that's being said on screen. So there's that's that. But then you come to 40 years later, there's a massive difference. And again, horror has definitely come a long way, but I still think there are some sort of nuances that are still there. And you could look at just one film, this being Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1984 version, and you could compare it to the reboot straight away and know that there's a drastic difference between both films.
Between original and remake, absolutely.
Yes. In terms of in terms of tone, the tone of the film is different. Like we watched the first, I think it was the first 20 minutes of the 1984 version, and you could already tell that this film at the time it was released tried to set some sort of bar that other horror films needed to follow, and other films of need. Other movie directors need to look at Nightmare on Elm Street. Exactly. They need to. They sort of needed directors of that time to look at Nightmare on Elm Street and go, we need to be at least as good as that if we're ever going to be relevant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how it sort of set that bar for horror films for years.
For its time, was a masterpiece.
Definitely.
Was a masterpiece.
It was a masterpiece in itself. The storytelling's a bit hit and miss. It's a bit hit and miss. It's not. It's not semi-serious in any way, shape, or form. You watch it now, and I can remember when we were watching it, and we were fucking laughing.
We were laughing.
We were actually laughing at some of the stuff that's going on, because the believability is not there. The believability is not there.
No, at that time, that period, that was scary shit.
Yeah,
that was scary.
Teenagers,
shit.
It was one of those films that your 11-year-old self would go to the cinemas and sneak in to watch. You know what I mean? And you could. And the thing is, back then you could do that. Whereas nowadays it's so.
Sorry to butt in, Josh.
Oh, of course, go for it. No, that's fine.
Younger, when I first watched that, I shit myself.
That's fair. That's
scary.
Fair. When my first sort of interaction with the film, or my first coming across the film, I was actually at my uncle's house years back, and he had quite an extensive VHS and DVD collection. And I can't remember what. I'm gonna have to. I might throw it up on screen what specific image it was, but it was Freddy Krueger having the fucking the bladed glove on his shoulder, and just going out front of it. It was fucking weird. But I saw this when I was like 6. I saw this DVD set when I was 6, and it had the first film all the way through. I think there's 6. I think.
Yeah.
I think there's 6 films.
I think this is it. I think there's 6, isn't there?
There's 1, 2 Freddy's Revenge, then it's Dream Warriors, and then I'm sure there's 3 more after that. But granted, when I saw this box set collection, this was actually before the film Freddy vs. Jason came out. So I had no clue. Oh, great film. Fucking fantastic film. Just a side note, guys, if no one's ever watched Freddy vs. Jason, I keep getting Friday and Freddy and all sorts. I don't know why, I've got myself obsessed with FNAF at the minute, so I keep stumbling over into fucking FNAF territory, so I do apologise. Sorry, I'm picking my nose, something rotten. But
Five Nights at Freddy's.
But no, I love. If you've never watched Freddy vs. Jason, watch it. It's fucking hilarious. It's worth it. It's so worth it.
The soundtrack to that film was awesome.
Oh, the soundtrack's mint. I fucking think it's the best. It is the absolute best. Even if you've never watched, and this is what I'm saying about there's certain films out there that when they do collabs, they also need to step up on their own. Freddy vs. Jason, if you've never watched a Friday the 13th film or a Nightmare on Elm Street film, it stands on its own as being a really good film. It really does. You don't even have to go into the history of it or how Freddy vs. Jason even was in was in development hell for years. You don't even have to go into that kind of detail. You can just watch it and just go, "That's a pretty fucking awesome film for what it was." You can tell that these two people are horror icons. You just know.
Robert Englund, I'm sorry, but he smashes it. He smashed it. He smashed it in everything. Robert Englund, who plays Freddy.
Oh, Robert Englund, yeah, he's fantastic, mate. I swear to God, I have never had the fortune to meet him yet. But I will always give that fella credit for the fact for the Nightmare on Elm Street series.
So he still carries him well to this day.
He does. He actually does. Even if you've never even seen Robert Englund in any other film series, he's been in loads of different films.
He has. He's been in loads of different since he was a young age.
It's mental. It's absolutely mental. His entire range.
If somebody mentions Robert Englund to you, it's Freddy.
You know straight away it's Freddy. It's because he built an iconic character from scratch.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Oh yeah, it's like he built the whole character up from scratch, and that's where it's sort of like a lot of kids know Freddy.
Stop you there, Josh. So, Josh, to close up on that first question, because we do escalate and we just...
we do. We got, mate, ladies and gents, get ready for absolute tangents galore. That's how we go.
So, agree with the statement then. Do we agree that a Nightmare on Elm Street remake is the only remotely scary film in the whole franchise? No, I do not.
Oh,
no,
really? So I agree. I do agree with it. That's myself. That's just me. But, I agree with the statement that the Nightmare on Elm Street remake is the only remotely scary film.
Oh, the only? What, out of all the franchise?
Yeah.
Right. Back when I was a kid, back when I was a kid, the originals, the classics, shit me up.
Fair enough.
Looking at it in today's thing, because the remake, I honestly do not like the remake.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to say this now. 2010 remake, do I like it as a remake or just as a film in general?
Yeah.
I'm very indifferent. I'm very indifferent towards it.
I personally don't think it was remade correctly.
To me, as a horror movie, this is the thing though, as a horror movie, it works. If you weren't even to bring Nightmare on Elm Street into it, you know, the originals and all the fucking comedic bullshit that came out with afterwards, you can't beat the OGs. No, that I've always said that you can't beat the originals. It's almost like a tried and tested formula. There's only very rarely that remakes actually do better than the originals. But when it comes to, if you were to look at Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 remake as an actual horror film and not any sort of attachment to the originals, it is a fucking good film. It is a good film. It's a good horror movie. Some bits could be done better than others, but then again, that's every horror film out there.
Everybody's got different opinions and different thoughts and whatever. Each film attracts and does things to different people emotionally and whatever, doesn't it? So
exactly.
You know, it all gets you in different ways. So
definitely a 50-50 split on that one.
Yeah, definitely. So then, guys, we're gonna jump on to the next one. So you ready, Josh?
Go for it.
Let me ask. So, do you think the original Freddy movies still have charm even after being watched 40 years later?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah!
Oh, yeah, too right. Yeah. They still have charm. Mate,
oh, God, come on.
Mate, we were just talking about the sort of the cliches of horror movies. Nightmare on Elm Street is fucking full of them. It is full of them.
For its time, the practical effects, everything, it was wicked.
Mate, don't even go there. I actually think some of the practical effects even by nowadays are still good.
To take a fucking bath. Do you know? Because honestly,
long story short, ladies and gents, there is a scene where the main protagonist is having a bath, can't see anything, of course, but then a part of the scene comes up where Freddy's glove comes out the water. as if
it's
as if like Jaws was kicking off. It's like din 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 din, but nothing happens.
Right.
Nothing happens. But it sets the tone for what's about to happen, and it's like.
And I was like,
I don't blame you. In all fairness, I think if we're to go into like when it comes to like the original Freddy movies, just having charm in general, you can't go far when it comes to the first film. Like, does it
No.
like even? I think some of the films afterwards have a little bit of a give and take. Some things are good, some things are better in others than you know what I mean. But if you were to look at just the first film as what it is, it's still charming to watch. And even if you were to do something like a video essay on the first Nightmare on Elm Street and just isolate that film out of all the others, you could literally you could love that film to death.
It's the OG, isn't it? It's the one. It's the one. It's the first one. It's
the only Freddy Krueger fucking movie that actually works for the time that it came out.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Like I said, younger years, it scared the shit out of me.
Fuck it, it's definitely one of them things. Mate, whoa, Kirsty, fucking hell, we were laughing our fucking heads off.
I'm sorry,
you know what I mean?
I'm sorry, guys, but you still have the love for it though. Even if you're gonna sit there and laugh about it, you're still gonna be like, for its time, mate. The practical effects, it just blew my mind. Looking back at it now, grown up, and be like, what they put into that film to make that film be the way it was.
You only have to see the first time you see Freddy Krueger in the film, when he's got his arms outstretched and he's scraping the walls and stuff, and then he's chasing her and he pops behind a thing, like he's green screened into a tree, and then he's like, here, watch this, and cuts his fucking fingers off. It's like, it's just mental, but you can't help but think, this must have been fucking funny to fucking shoot. This must have been, this must have been fantastic to shoot this and to edit it afterwards.
At the time.
At the time it must have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Like,
we're talking 84 here.
This is exactly.
Years
ago, you could sit here and watch it nowadays, and this is the thing that kind of, I think this is where it kind of loses a bit of its quality and a bit of its charm a little bit, is we can sit here all day and say it looks fantastic, but you're watching these movies nowadays on a Blu-ray, DVD, up-res to 4K, fucking whatever it is, right? So you're seeing all the green screen edges. You're seeing all the practical effects as clear as what it is, and you can ascertain.
When he pops out of that bloody tree.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see the green screen, right? Yeah, this is the thing. If you were this is the thing. If you were to get it on VHS, it looks good. It looks good. But then you've got to have the screen to go with that. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. I've got to admit, it's one of them things that if you get it on VHS, you can't notice a lot of these things because it's naturally. I call it being naturally grainy in terms of the film footage. But when it comes to these newer remakes, but these new like re-releases of the films, you can definitely see a lot of the fucking practical effects for what they are, and there's no sort of like I don't want to say realism because they try to do the best they can. It's special effects for a reason. But for the time it came out, absolutely fantastic, and I still think it has charm after all these years. If no one here's never watched it, I implore you, please watch it. Watch it. If you find it's crap, fine. You find it's crap. If you find it good, let us know in the comments. You know what I mean? Just let us know.
Absolutely.
Because there's people I know that still not watch this. They still not watched Nightmare on Elm Street. They've watched the reboot, but they've not watched the old ones.
Not watched the OG.
And honestly, I always keep saying watch the originals.
Yeah, watch an OG. You've got to
watch the OG first.
So Josh, with that, do we still think it has its charm?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Too right. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'd still watch it now. And I'm 28 years old. I was born in 96. You know what I mean? Like years, like 84. 90.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, well, there you go then.
Chuffing. So.
There you go. Chuffing. We I mentioned my uncle earlier on. I saw he had the entire collection, and I was intrigued. I was like, what the bloody hell was that? Like, you know, okay, like, well, I'll try and watch it at some point. I'll try and find it and fucking sneakily watch it. And then, how the hell did I watch it the first time? It was actually on a copy disc. I think it was on a copy disc years later. And talking like 2006, 2007, somewhere around there when I first watched it. and bloody, and it was on a copy disc. It was grainy as fuck, but it was as close to the not the original, but it was close to a DVD version as what I could get, because it was just it was just a DVD rip, and that was the first time I watched it. And even to today, I'd still want to watch it, no problem. No matter which one it is, I'll watch it.
With that, it still has its charm. It still has its charm. It really does. So would you like to ask the next question, my darling?
Of course I can, yeah. So very simple one. The first film, we're not talking about the reboot, we're talking just about we're talking about the main fucking 84 version. Scary? Scary? Or is it comical? Now, in all fairness, from what we've just been talking about with the previous answers, I'd like to think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
If we were to look at it as now, if we were to look at it now in 2024,
it's like a comical horror.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like a comical horror. It's a
shitty sitcom with horror elements. That's the way I kind of look at it.
It still has that weirdly scary, like when we're watching it, and like we were talking about, Josh, that scene where you see her friend get dragged down through that eerie corridor.
Jesus.
That still gives me chills down my spine.
There are some fantastic moments of cinematography throughout the entire film. Absolutely fantastic. That's just one scene. The one scene in particular we're just talking about is the Nancy, the main scream queen, the antagonist, the protagonist. Sorry, she's basically in a classroom doing classroom shit, and she falls asleep, and she has a dream that her best mate, who's just been murdered, is outside the classroom, wrapped up in a body bag, talking shit. That's the main idea of it. When you listen to the actual bit of the footage, and I can remember me mentioning this to Kirsty when we were watching it, I put it on with subtitles underneath, and you can hear and you can actually read what the other students around her who are in the dream are saying, and they're actually talking about Freddy. They're not talking about what's going on in classroom and history or whatever they were learning at the time. It completely changes the script, and I didn't even know that until I watched it again recently and put the subtitles on. I was like, holy shit, didn't even know that. But the whole hallway scene.
Talk about adding to the feel.
Mate.
Talk about to the scene.
Mate, it's for the entire scene where Nancy stepped up to go out into the hallway and she's seen her friend getting dragged down the corridor. That entire scene's foreboding as hell. It's so bleeding. It's so tension filled. It's nuts. I think the bit where it breaks it a little bit, like it breaks tension, is where she bumps into that hall monitor. She bumps into it last and cuts her lip. That particular bit, to me, that breaks it a bit. But then as soon as she looks back and goes, hello, with the fucking finger glove, it's like, oh shit, she's still dreaming. Or she's still somewhere where she shouldn't be. And it's like, and then the tension sort of comes back a little bit. So it's like a breaking moment where you're thinking, is this real? Is it not? It's not real. And then she turns around and looks and goes, oh fuck me, this is actually happening. Shit. Okay. Great scene. There's multiple great scenes though in the film. I've got to admit, there's fantastic scenes. There's a bit where he, in the beginning when he first shows himself, the very first kill is one of the most iconic kills in my opinion in horror history, where she's getting killed on roof. She's getting pulled across the roof in bedroom.
Yeah, she's getting slashed and all sorts.
Fucking hell, she's still dreaming. This girl's still asleep and she's getting slashed in her dreams. And there's fucking blood everywhere. It's mental, absolutely fucking mental. But it is one of the most iconic scenes out there to this day.
Like when Johnny Depp's getting into bed.
How the hell have we done this video and not mentioned Johnny Depp once?
I know.
Fucking hell, Johnny fucking Depp, mate. I tell you so. This was. I think I don't know if this was it, but I think Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street was his first film. I don't know if quote me if I'm wrong. Sorry.
I'm not familiar with Johnny Depp's early
stuff. I'll look it up.
The first time I've seen Johnny Depp on screen was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Fair enough. Yeah, that was me.
That's how I got introduced to him.
When I was a lot younger, granted, the first time I saw Johnny Depp was actually, you're gonna laugh at this, Pirates of the Caribbean. I didn't watch Nightmare on Elm Street until years later. And then when I was like, I didn't even know the guy's name. It was as soon as I looked at him on screen, I thought I recognise him from somewhere. And I looked him up, I'm like, oh shit, it's him. It's fucking, hey, oh, Captain Jack, fucking. But yeah, I'm gonna have to have a look, because if this is his first film, what was Johnny Depp's first major movie role? A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984.
Was it?
It was his first major film.
Lad, go on,
There you go. So, in all fairness, take in mind, he went from doing Nightmare on Elm Street in 84, then appeared in Platoon in 1986. Fantastic film, if no one's watched it. Really good film. It's got bloody Willem Dafoe in it. Yes. Platoon. Yes. Great film. Yeah. Absolutely great film, great soundtrack as well. Just fucking putting it out there. And then he did, before rising to prominence, as a teen idol on the television series 21 Jump Street that aired from 1987 to 1990. I thought 21 Jump Street was earlier. I thought it was before fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's after. I didn't know that. But no, aside from Johnny Depp and us fangirling over Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp also has one of the most iconic deaths. Spoiler alert. Yes. He has one of the most iconic deaths in the film, and you'll probably see this spliced in. But honest to God, there's scary bits in this film. There are comical bits in this film, but in the overall sense of it, is it scary or comical? Is it scary or comical?
I would probably go with like what I've said before in the last couple of questions. But at the time it was out, it must have been goddamn scary.
Oh yeah, definitely. We could speak to bunches of people.
It's comical. Yeah. Although saying that, it depends on you as a person. If you've got
exactly, this is what I was just about to go into. Yeah. It's definitely it depends on the type of person that you are and how you approach horror movies in general.
Yes.
Because certain films that are not even classed as horror movies can scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to go far in terms of like scary movies or just in terms of like action films and stuff, but certain action films can be like a bit scary because they do certain scenes that they don't even intend them to be scary. It's how you naturally associate certain factors.
Yes,
I'd say.
Yeah, it's how you look at things as well. I suppose it's how you see a scene and stuff like that, and how I don't know.
It's how you decipher it. It's how you decipher it as a kid. Not even just as a kid, but as an adult. I know people who have watched even going back further, horror films from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Wolfman, Dracula. You know what I mean? Creature from Black Lagoon. You know what I mean? You could look at those films. People nowadays would find those pissed funny. But there's always a few people out there that find them shit scary. And there's just something about it. There's just something about them. But I would definitely say that at this very moment in time, I would definitely say that the film is definitely more comical than scary, personally.
Yes. For today's time, comical with a bit of a slashing scare in it, but for its time,
90% comical, 10% scary. That's how I look at it.
But at that period of time where it was directed, filmed, aired at, come out, cinema style, for the 80s, when I first watched it, was scary. So, but nowadays, we're talking now, you know,
people, demographics change, people change, perception of horror changes, perception of fear.
When you watch it one or two times, it changes. You notice things. Do you know what I mean?
You do. The more you watch something, the more you notice things, and that's what we did with Nightmare on Elm Street recently. After watching it, we noticed more stuff. Like I said about the subtitles, there are certain things that you don't even know about, and the green screens and stuff. Yeah, there's just all sorts of little bits and pieces. And again, that's just quick time.
It's like the ending when she's getting in that car and it all.
That's something I'm gonna bring up towards the end. I'm gonna bring that up because I think that's still something that needs to be sort of semi-talked about, because I think we'll talk about it now, but I don't get the ending.
In a minute, guys.
Yeah.
Get into a minute. So. We've done with that question. I'm going to get on to the other one because you actually missed one, Josh.
Did I?
Yeah. So,
crap!
It's good. When it comes to practical effects from the original A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, do you think they still stand 40 years later? If so, explain in your reason.
Do they still stand the test of time after all these years later? Well, when it comes to bloody practical effects in general, you don't have to look far when it comes to the 80s to know that you've got damn good fucking special effects.
Practical effects.
Mate, you only have to go and watch John Carpenter's The Thing. You know what I mean? You only have to go and watch that.
What a film, though.
What a film.
Sorry.
What a film.
A little bit of appreciation here for John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Some masterpieces there, mate. Some masterpieces.
Oh, mate.
Yes.
Fucking awesome film. Great film, great special effects. Now, it's unfair, I think, to compare The Thing to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Because they're completely different films. Completely different.
Let's just leave that out. But you're giving an example, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You're giving an example.
It's when it comes to practical effects. There's the Nightmare on Elm Street itself is fantastic. In what it does.
Brilliant. For instance, you were talking about that last getting slashed up upon ceiling, mate. Mate, the blood splatter everywhere. The effects. Whoa!
It's ramped up to 11.
Whoa.
It's ramped up to 11.
Ramped up, yeah.
There's the small segment that it does happen in. When she lands on the bed, it's a very quick camera cut, but it shows the boyfriend getting hit with blood. And it's and it's like, for its time, that's pretty. It's quite impressive. Like, we look at it now and go, oh, that's just simple. You chuck a fucking bucket of blood on someone. But imagine that you've got to time that with the body falling and all these other things. It's like movie magic. You know what I mean? You've got to try and work it out and try and work out how you're going to scare the shit out of your audience. That's one way of doing it.
Yeah, practical effects. Honestly, for the 80s and late 70s, 80s films, when practical effects they used them and they used them well. They did. Used them well.
Yeah, and even on shorter budget strings, you can find absolutely some of the best practical effects you'll ever see.
Yeah. Whereas today everything's all green screened and
it's green screen to high heaven. Like, green screen's good if you use it in very minimal circumstances.
Yeah.
It's good.
What else do they use now? What
CGI.
Effects? Special
it's CGI special effects. You only have to watch the reboot to know where it's gone.
Don't get me wrong. I am not knocking no special effects CGI stuff.
Oh, me neither.
Because it makes
no.
more realistic and more fucking scary. But to this day, they still use practical effects.
They still do practical effects, yeah. Practical effects nowadays is still on the rise of becoming more popular again. Like, it's become a more popular thing. Yeah. I think a lot more people have started to notice they're
trying to bring that old feel back, though, aren't they? I've noticed some horrors. Yeah. They're bringing
there are certain. You only have to look at in terms of video games in particular. Video games have got their own sort of horror genre and sort of horror corner to play with. But you'll notice that in certain horror games nowadays, they're going for this VHS 80s look. They seem to be going for this sort of theme for quite a lot, and that's because at the time that these. Exactly, it's just a test of times, a lot of it. But when it comes to our 80s slasher films, these are some of the main inspirations for a lot of the horror games you find nowadays. You know what I mean? And some of these games can be absolutely fucking scary. But where did they get the inspirations from? Films from the 80s, films from 90s, just all sorts.
Just while I'm thinking on, because Josh just mentioned it. Sorry, sweetheart.
Yeah, go for it. No, it's fine. No, go for it. No.
We're also going to be going through, everything horror. Not just for your films, you're going to go through your games, books, all sorts. We're going to be delving into all sorts.
There's going to be little bits and pieces that we've got planned for the future, and it's definitely something we're going to be looking into a bit more.
Gamers.
Yeah, we are. Gamers. Yeah, literally, we do. So Kirsty does TikTok streaming as well as Twitch streaming on her end. And I do the odd bits of streams every now and again. Not necessarily just horror games. I just stream all sorts of different bits and pieces.
Pretty much everything.
I mean, you streamed what was it? Shopping Simulator? No, what was it? Supermarket Simulator.
Yeah, like I do main horror. For me, it's main horror, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do horror games, chillers art, all sorts. But today, I found myself playing on the supermarket shop simulator.
Yeah.
And I was smashing it.
It was actually pretty good. But it's like, but if it's not just like horror games, you're playing the Tomb Raider remastered series as well.
Yes.
You're playing Tomb Raider games in general. There's you know, we are quite varied streamers when it comes to video game content, and that's definitely something we're going to be going into a bit more in future when it comes to other videos. But if you guys do have any suggestions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. And be it films,
anything.
even films or even books. If you want to go down that road, recommend a couple of books to us. We'll happily read them, no problem.
We are open to any recommendations for reviews or just for your Nightmarish Matter.
Yeah, legit. Right, next question. So this is the second to last one that we've got.
Yes.
This is going to be a bit of a...
Don't read that last bit, Josh.
No, I'm not gonna.
Oh, shall we?
No, I'm not good. What, do you want me to? Oh, mind.
Yeah. Anyway, go on, Josh, darling.
So Freddy, as a character, what do you... So I'm going to ask you this. What do you think of him as a character? So it can be. So in terms of, do you find him entertaining in any way, shape, or form? Do you find him as iconic as what the general populace find him?
Right. So my personal opinion on Freddy Krueger himself, he is an absolute fantastic horror icon. He is amazing. Not not looking at him because of what he's done. Just
in terms of the storyline, So we'll look at it. If we're to separate his storyline, to the actual character himself and look at backstory and a little bit of as a separate thing, then yeah.
Because I'm not here ripping a nonce, you know what I
mean?
No,
exactly. Yeah. No.
For like an all-time kind of like horror icon, Freddy Krueger fucking smashes it. He smashes it.
He does.
He smashes it. He just hands down. How can I like explain this? Is just his whole.
His persona.
Just his whole persona, the way he carries himself. Just I don't know. He's just the iconic. He's just the proper iconic horror villain, isn't he? He's.
It's the way that he holds himself. It's the way that he presents himself on camera. Not just on camera, but even if you were to look at it as like. We're looking at it from like the 1984 film, not necessarily the sequels, because those go.
I find him cheeky, like a cheeky kind of, not cocky.
No,
like
but he knows where he stands. He knows where he stands in comparison to his victims. Like he knows where he stands. It's like I can kill you in your dreams and you can't do fucking anything to stop me. It's that sort of attitude. I agree with that. He's very cheeky. He is very cheeky.
So, like him as a horror icon, I do like. Yeah, he is. He will be forever remembered with his films.
Legit, I agree.
You don't even. Do you know like this hat that I've got, the Freddy Krueger hat? You see that in a shop. You know, that could just be a cowboy. Who are you thinking of?
Yeah, exactly.
Freddy Krueger. For me, if I see anything like even just the colours red and green, Krueger.
Exactly. The red and green sweater stands out. Stands out a sore thumb. Yeah. The most that you'll find that the most iconic sort of piece of him is the fucking finger glove. That's the only thing that you'll look at and you go, I know that is straight away. Yeah.
That's obviously not real, but fucking
I remember when I was younger seeing those at Blackpool chuffing arcades. They used to sell them at the arcade centres and stuff. They used to have like a bleeding like a Halloween shop. You go in and there'd just be fucking all sorts of stuff like that lying around. It was ridiculous.
Like costumes and stuff like that.
Oh mate.
My friend has actually got. He paid a lot of money for this. He's actually got the I don't know if it's a replica or something, but he's actually got the actual one of the latex head things.
Right, okay.
Robert Englund. Yeah, he's got one of them. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, he's got one of them.
See, I think there are certain things that when I was growing up, I remember seeing Freddy Krueger's face and going, "Oh fuck!" Like he used to scare the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah, he's scary.
And it was just something about him. He's a scary dude. No, you won't like to see him in a.
Dreams. Oh,
you won't like to, mate. If even on Halloween night, you don't want to see that thing in the fucking dark corner, do you?
No.
You know what I mean? But no, I think when we're talking about the whole thing with differences when it comes to demographics and also horror films when it comes to the 80s to nowadays, that goes into the last question. In the land of remakes today, in all their fucking glory and all their shit-stained culture, do you think that they should redo A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1984 storyline, for a newer audience, or leave it be as is, or a possible sequel?
I personally think they should never have made the remake, and if they were going to do it, they should have done it well.
Fucking hot take there, fair play, absolutely fair play.
I just can't get with the remake. I meant fair enough. I meant even the choosing for the characters and stuff. I meant no hate against any actors or anything like that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't know.
I was just gonna go into the guy who played him, because it's Rorschach from Watchmen. Who does the person who plays Rorschach in Watchmen? He's the one who does the Friday 13th Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
There's even just like the costume and the special effects, and it just didn't give me Kruger vibes.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
It automatically.
So Jackie Earl Haley is the guy who.
Is there a picture of him?
Let's have a look. Trying to find a good one of him.
Yeah. No. See
Yeah.
you later. Bye.
It does feel off.
No.
You see, personally, this is actually down to the director's depiction of Freddy himself. So there's a couple of different ways. It's so blurry. Hold on, not gonna work. There we go. There's something definitely like different about his character.
I'm sorry.
See, that to me looks more iconic. For the character.
That's Freddy, innit? But I suppose, when you're already in love with the film that you've seen, and you then watch a remake, and then you watch the remake and you're a bit let down, then you're a bit...
When you go to watch a remake of anything, if you've watched an original... If you've watched an original in any way, shape or form, and then watch it...
goal to match.
Oh, yeah, but if you look at it this way, right? You look at films like... Fucking hell. What's the most famous series out there? Star Wars, right? Let's look at Star Wars. Yeah. You watch A New Hope, or the very first Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
You look at that, and then you go to watch Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, and Return of the Sith. Return of the Sith? No. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith. That's it. Revenge of the Sith. Right? I'm not going into this fucking too much. But when you look at the prequels, there's already a natural bias towards the original films, and the exact same thing happened with the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But there is something that kind of tipped things a little bit at the time when the new Nightmare on Elm Street came out in 2010, and Robert Englund does actually mention this in an interview. Well, sort of like an offhand question and answer thing at a Comic-Con years ago, and he was like, I think it was on the lines of he loved the portrayal of Freddy Krueger, he loved the remake, he loved Jackie's version of him, he loved it, he loved the whole thing, but the timing of the film was a fucking bit of a weird point, because at the time that the film came out, 2 weeks before, they had just re-released all I keep doing it again, all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies in like high resolution 4K, all this other stuff, to a newer audience. So all the little kiddies who were having sleepovers and bits and pieces were seeing all these films in their parents' basement or whatever, and they watched these things and got introduced to it that way. When it comes to the reboot, however, don't matter who's watching it, nearly 95% of the people in that room watching this new film knew what Nightmare on Elm Street was. So there's a natural bias to somewhat disliking the film. Now, that's just my personal opinion. Call me out if I'm wrong, honestly. I will take it, honestly. But I do think there's a natural bias towards possibly hating the film.
Like when you watch a good horror and then you find out there's going to be a remake. I don't know. I suppose it's the fact that you
Never
know,
excited, are you?
No, you find out that Robert's not going to be in it, and you know the iconic characters, and you know Freddy's not going to be the OG Freddy. It's just
great example of that. There's a fantastic example of that.
Go to Halloween films.
Yeah.
Don't like with Freddy's films, guys. Right? I'm newish to some of them, but the OG I've watched so many times. But as an icon, I love Freddy. But you know when it comes to Halloween.
Oh yeah.
I love it. So
that's fair.
But that's for another time. That's a
whole other film series. But when it comes to, but there is definitely like a natural bias towards the old versions of films versus remakes of films. Like you and I both know that ourselves, and it happens. It unfortunately is a very natural thing for humans to do. And like I said with the question, it says in the land of remakes today. Fucking hell, you only have to go around the corner to realise there's umpteen remakes of old films and old shows being made. Yeah. Just to know that, and it's like you were saying that there's a new there's a remake of a cult classic being made. You know what I mean? What is your first thought as soon as you fucking hear that there's going to be a remake? Oh fuck, it's going to be wank, innit? That's all you can. That's immediately all you can think, because unfortunately the track record with remakes is that they have been shit.
But can I just say something? Why is the need to remake something that doesn't need remaking? Why does something have to...
There are all sorts of different ways.
Why try and pick and twang and do whatever?
Yeah.
And try and redo something that's already a masterpiece as it stands.
Exactly.
For its time, this was and still is to this day a fantastic fucking horror film.
Exactly, and I agree with that. I do agree with that. Yeah. I think a lot of it is to try and spark new interest in the character or in the film series as a whole. But
I suppose it's still to keep that love for Freddy, that love for the films.
That's it. Most of these remakes come from a lot of directors who love the originals. Absolutely love them. There's a few out there that unfortunately get thrown into deep end with and have no clue what the hell they're doing, and unfortunately a lot of it's down to the executives of these film studios that are making the choices. It's not necessarily just really fond directors that are doing this. You know what I mean? Like there's remakes all the time. There's remakes going on every single time. I mean, we've had games have been remade, for God's sakes. There's multiple games that are being remade. There's multiple games that are being ported to newer consoles because they want to gain more interest in the games. And the gaming industry itself is very similar. And switching platforms. Mate, I didn't say this to you the other day, but I found out last night. This is just a side rant, but
in the land of remakes today, do you think they should redo? No.
Leave it as is. And I agree.
Leave it as an OG.
I agree.
Or if you are going to do this, do it well.
Right.
Do it well.
This is the thing now. So when you're saying do it and do it well, this is what a lot of the time comes down to it with the remakes. They want to make it sure it's the right thing from the get-go. If I'm going to be completely frank, right, do a very similar storyline, but detach it from Nightmare on Elm Street. Do it under a different... nothing. Not even a spin-off. Just take Nightmare on Elm Street name out of it. Take it out of it.
So then,
change the characters' names, make it your own thing. Make it your own thing, but don't attach it to the Nightmare IP.
So basically just make a new horror film.
Just make a new horror film, basically. But make it fucking good if you're going to start doing the whole dream killer shit. Like, make it your own thing.
I think it should just be left to Freddy.
Yeah.
We've had the OGs, the films have been done, and just let it be. They're a classic 80s horror film. Just leave them.
I agree. I cannot help but agree.
Them. But this question is not on here, and I just want to ask it from me to you, Josh. The film, do you have love for it?
Oh yeah, too bloody right. As much as I can give it some shit, it's got some good
Yeah.
shit as well. You know what I mean? It's got some
Yeah.
good stuff in there. I still like it to this day. If I had to give it a rating, nowadays, I'd say from 2024, I'd say it's a good 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Personally,
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we are now at the end, can we just please talk about
Fucking
the
finally.
ending?
Oh,
come
Jesus! Right. Okay, the ending.
We love our chats.
Jesus
love our chats.
wept.
The ending. Explain what the fuck went off there.
So at the end of the film, I'm just going to try and break this down as quickly as I can. The final encounter with Freddy makes it so that Freddy actually comes to the physical plane. He's not in the dream world anymore. He's in our existence. He's with Nancy, the protagonist, and she faces off against this person in a very Home Alone-esque fucking situation.
She's making them booby traps, baby.
Yeah, she decides to Macaulay Culkin and the entire house up, and it's a bit surprising, but that's the bit that I can look back and find a bit funny, because it's a bit when he's getting hit by all these traps, it's bloody slapstick comedy at its best.
Yeah,
but when it comes to the final bit, Freddy finds Nancy's mother and kills her in a very, very strange way, very supernatural way. It's not in the standard where, he stabs her. No, it's very weird. You have to watch the clip. It's very, very strange. I might splice it into this. But when it comes to after this, I will. I might do actually, because I'm looking forward to doing that. The very, very ending is this. The part comes straight after this. Nancy leaves the house. And with her mother, who is technically alive. We don't know if she is or not, but she's alive. She's there next to her. They're talking, and you can't help but think, is this real? And Nancy actually asks, "Is this real?" Now you'll notice throughout the film that when a dream sequence is going on, especially in daylight, there's like a haze filter that goes over the entire screen, and it looks a bit off.
That glowy,
like a high bloom. It's like a high bloom going on throughout the whole thing. It's a weird filter that they've used for it, but it makes sense. And this particular segment, you don't know straight away that it's like, you're not thinking, oh, is this a dream? But technically, it's got to be a dream, because the mother's just been killed and now she's alive again. What the fuck's going on? But then how she died is making you think, was that a dream? There's so many ways it could have gone. And it's mental. You can look at it in multiple different ways of how they ended it, and it's so fucking weird how they've done it. But
I don't get it, how she then walks from there, gets in the car with everybody that's been murdered.
Yep. So all the characters from the film are alive. Johnny Depp's character, the first victim, they're all alive. They're in this car.
Partner, I can't think of names.
I can't remember her names,
Then it all locks her in, and it turns into a Freddy's car, doesn't it? It turns into
so the car drives off on its own. The mother's got sat there going toodaloo, and then Freddy puts his arm through the door with little hatch window and drags a balloon version of the mother through the little window, and it's practical effects fucking 101, but it looks weird as shit. Yeah. And then that is the ending. That's it. That's how it ends.
That is it. So
and it was so weird.
Differently.
I think people back in '84 walked out the theaters going, "What the fuck was that?" Like,
is she dead? Is she not? What's happening?
Exactly.
They obviously are. He's obviously got them.
I think all of them are dead. That's my opinion. I think all of them are dead. From her waking up in the bed and then thinking, oh, I must be actually going insane, and then Freddy comes up behind her. I think she's technically still in the dream world. She's still there.
I don't know. I
genuinely think she's still there. That's just
good.
me.
It's good.
It's a fantastic ending, and I think it's definitely something that, I still think it stands the test of time today.
Yes. 40 years on, and it's still an OG class.
It's a
classic,
fucking brilliant film.
Classic, and it's a masterpiece, and we love it. And it just opened the doors for me when I was young to get into, it's Halloween that I watched Halloween first. There's many little indie films and stuff that started me on the love of horror. But I can honestly say I can remember the day and time-ish when we actually got in from school one night, me and Stephen, my brother, and we had the chance to watch this on VHS, and we watched it, and we loved it, honestly. From that day, these iconic old classic horrors just make you fall. It's what made me fall in love with horror films.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll always be OG to me, and they're on such a high pedestal, and I love them. I can't say
I can't say I don't agree with that, because in all fairness, I think, what was my first horror film growing up? What was really my first horror film? I'm not going to go out there and say, it was Freddy. It was definitely something different. My first horror film. First horror film. You know what?
Josh.
I know. I'm struggling to think. I think there's one film that it's not classed as a horror, but has somewhat horror elements. I think everyone's gonna laugh when I tell you what I think it is.
What?
Do you remember the film The Witches?
No.
Right. There was a film called The Witches. It was a Roald Dahl book that got adapted into a film. Right?
Alright.
And
Gosh.
it's weird. It's got Angelica Houston from Addams Family in. It's really good.
Yes.
And Rowan Atkinson, believe it or not.
Oh, I love
Mr. Bean. Oh, Tado. And the whole oh God's sakes, the whole sort of idea behind the film is this young child he goes to an hotel. He gets told that witches are real, like actual witches are real. They're not the Harry Potter fucking witches. These are ugly motherfuckers who steal kids, kill them, and put them in stews and shit. You know what I mean? It's the old folklore type stuff. And lo and behold, the main character, the young lad, he gets turned into a mouse. And events transpire from there, basically. I don't want to go into it too much, but it is definitely worth a watch. It is awesome.
Did you get traumatized, Josh?
As a kid, yeah.
Did you?
Mate, the real witches are scary as fuck. Like, it's practical effects galore. It's mint. Because it's not like, oh, it's you and me with this fucking normal looking skin. No, they have to take these fucking great masks off.
Like latex fucking...
Mate, Angelica Houston's witch character has got a nose about this fucking long.
I know what you're on about. Yeah, there's a blonde and a bit... Yeah,
that's her. Yeah. That was it. Yeah. Oh, it's mental. It's a great film.
It's like fucking Children of the Corn or something like that.
No. Mine was daft stuff when I was a kid. It was just like...
Oh, mate.
Oh, honestly. And the thing is, like, I didn't act scared or anything. I was just like, Jesus, this is fucking terrifying. There's mice being squished. There's fucking witches that look like ugly mofos. It's proper scary shit. But and then it was only until I was like maybe I want to say about 9 or 10 when I first watched Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that was just by nicking it out of my dad's fucking cabinet, and I just watched it. I nicked out of my dad's cabinet. Sorry, Dad. And then and then I watched it. Nah, I couldn't give a shit. Sorry, Dad. But no, I watched it and. I fell in love with it, and I then it went from Nightmare on Elm Street to Halloween. I watched the first two Friday the 13th. I've not watched any more since. Halloween is a very similar sort of thing. I watched Halloween 1, 2, skipped 3, went to 4, and then I've not watched any since, apart from the Rob Zombie remakes, which I'm not even going to go into that. Dumpster fire.
Day, darling.
I have not watched the newer ones, the technically sequels to Halloween 1 and 2, I think. I've not watched those yet, with Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her role. There's loads of horror films I've not watched, but I always find that indie horror films are the ones that I go more towards. I always find myself watching, like, I only watched very recently, the Blair Witch Project very recently for the first time, and that blew me the fuck away. That blew me away. But I could see people back when it first came out going, that was shit. But I like it. That's just me. But I fucking love films like that. I love indie films, and like Kirst, you know this as well. Grave Encounters 1 and 2. Great films.
I love Grave Encounters.
Grave Encounters, fantastic films. I love paranormal films. I love. My most favourite, not horror film, but my favourite horror genre in terms of just horror films themselves, alien abduction movies. Alien abduction movies scared the fuck out of me.
Yes.
First one I watched. It wasn't first one I watched. First one I watched when it comes to sci-fi or any sort of alien horror movie. It wasn't fucking E.T. It was fucking film called The Fourth Kind with Mila Jovovich. Yeah. Great. If no one's watched it, find it, watch it. It's
like
awesome.
A psychological kind of thing. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a good,
great film. Absolutely fantastic film. I recommend anyone watching it today. Jesus. But yeah, that's my sort of take on it when it comes to horror. When it comes to horror films, like you can horror comes in many different forms, and it just depends on what
how you
perceive it. It's how you perceive it.
It's how you perceive it. It's how you take it. Everybody takes something different from horrors, or any kind of films. So, but when it comes to horror films, I love them. I love them. I'm everything horror. You know this. I really am. And talking about like when I come up with this idea of doing this, you know, it's something that I enjoy doing, and so do you, Josh. And when you've got love for films, it's good to show a bit of appreciation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just have a bit of it's like to watch it like we do movie nights at the minute, and it's like we don't mind putting on like a couple of horror films just to sort of set the tone and things. And it's where this sort of video was inspired from. It's just we were watching the film and thought, you know, why don't we just do a video and just talk shit, just talk bollocks for fucking 20 minutes and just see how it goes. So that's where this idea came from. And
absolutely,
I'm definitely down for doing a lot more. Put it that way. Yeah, I'm definitely down for doing a lot more because I think it's something that it's good to get the ideas out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was gonna just do some sort of like chat cast, weren't I? Just me talking to all my people thingy.
Legit,
and then we watched the films, and then we're like, oh, we like this. And then we were talking for ages, weren't we? And then we're like,
we talked for like a good 4 hours. We talked for like a good 4 hours about it, and we were just fucking going mad. Why don't we just record it? Why don't we just record it and put it out there? Yeah, but yeah, I'm definitely down for doing another. I've got to admit, I'm definitely down for doing another one.
Good. Good, because I'm really excited to get this out there.
Video done. I'm well happy.
Absolutely, but it's been a top evening, and I've really enjoyed doing this. I know the questions are small, and we've only had a couple, but obviously
we've talked bollocks for an hour and a half. We've talked bollocks for an hour and a half, so
we've talked bollocks for
content.
But it's a foot in the door, and we are very excited to see where this takes us. Absolutely.
Exactly. I'm definitely happy with that.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Lovely.
Right.
So then, guys, thank you so much for watching the channel.
Very first episode of what's the title?
Horrorfanatic's Nightmarish Matter.
There we go. But yeah, guys, honestly, if you very much like this video, please feel free to hit that like button. And if you want to carry on with any more of our videos, if you want to help us sort of grow this channel a little bit more, please hit that subscribe button. Definitely feel free to put down in the comments what you liked. Put down in the comments what you liked about this video, even what you didn't like about this video. We always take constructive criticism in any way. Leave us a review. Fuck the film, leave us a review. But in all honesty, I'm very much looking forward to the next video, and fucking let's see where this takes us. I'm happy for it, me personally.
So a massive thank you from myself, Kirsty Horrorfanatic, Josh, bless him. Thanks again for jumping on, sweetheart.
It's alright,
appreciated.
Anytime.
I love your company. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this. As Josh said, if you are interested in watching any more, then please let us know. Any sort of give us some
give some suggestions, like we said in the video earlier. We were saying suggestions for videos, books, films, anything.
Themes,
just even talking points. You know, if you even want to suggest a question, fucking post it on. Yeah. You know what I mean? We'll definitely find a way to put it through the video.
above all things, guys, please, if you have got a few minutes, please hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it.
One little click does a massive thing for us.
Absolutely.
It really does.
Absolutely.
Right, ladies and gents, thanks so much for watching, and yeah, see you in the next one.
Take care, guys.